two dope dudes, bringing you the news, leading you to much success with all their insightful views. Do you grow yourself or buy from the top shelf? Are you here to take the reins and gain back your health? Whatever it is, you know the biz. Leave a light, crack a pipe, and let's get on with it. If you want to acquire the knowledge, you don't have to go to college. You can just come hang with Aaron and Dave.
Welcome to the Elevated News Podcast with Two Dope Dudes. We are your source for Midwest cannabis news, culture, and more. I'm Aaron.
Hey, I'm Dave.
I don't even know why I'm having a problem doing that today. Maybe I'm too high. Hell yeah. Not really. Not really.
No, that's like having too much of a good thing.
Yeah. We're just in it right now. So, but what's going on, dude? How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm pretty pumped for today's conversation and talk, and yeah.
I know
Otherwise, life is okay.
This one's been a long time coming. About a month now. Yeah. Excited for this one as well. Do you want to get into YouTube comments super quick?
Yeah.
And then we can get on with our guest. And this should be a banger.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Let me just add that to stage right now. Open that up. Healthy Pegram, great show. THC drinks are great, very popular in my community and local brew pubs. That's awesome. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people who that is their preferred way, and I think it's awesome to see some of the bars and brew pubs getting on board with it.
Yeah, I've been in a few that have their little sign up that advocate for. It's very cool.
Yeah. Cole Memo. Shout out Cole Memo. Everybody go subscribe to the Cole Memo. I was talking to my buddy Charlie the other day, who is also my pest control guy, who's super dope. Great grower. He was telling me, hey dude, I found Cole Memo. I love that guy. And I was like, yeah, dude, he is really awesome. He's like, dude, I'm so glad that I watched the show with you and Cole, and now I found Cole because he's really cool. And I was like, thanks, buddy. Go tell Cole that too.
Yeah.
But shout out to him. When you made that comment about vaping, that you didn't know what to do with your hands, it made me think of the scene in Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby was on TV like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Great episode as always. Like button smashed. Heck yeah. Sean Whitney gives a heart. MN Organics 87, who messaged me on Instagram just the other day saying he really was liking the content, and I appreciate that. Can't wait to hear this one. Darren's Animals and Reptiles, Fish 30, had a 50 in Austin, Texas today, and it sent me for a loop. I was surprised.
I mean, it's real.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I mean, everybody's got to realize like it's not some fake synthetic. It's
no, it's the real deal.
Yeah,
and with enough of it, it'll get you there.
Yeah. Yep.
John Boyd, our friend. If anyone tells you the magic formula to not get munchies, let me know. I'll take 2.
THCV, but like...
yeah. Somebody actually replied THCV.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Someone said get real full. And then he said he usually eats full meals, but he eats them at the wrong time. We eat way too late at night. I don't know why it doesn't show up, but I know Satisfied Mind... YouTube's weird with how they show comments sometimes. Satisfied Mind commented THCV for sure.
And yes, that's also slowing down THC, but that's
well, yeah, for sure, but
it is the big one.
See, there it is right there. Satisfied Mind THCV. I had to sort by new for some reason. I don't know why. I even liked it, so that's how I knew it was. But awesome. And then live chat. Shout out to our people in the live chat. Macho, Minnesota Organics. Dave was there. Grojo was there. Daily Homegrown was there. Dr. Dank Nugs was there. Who else was there? Sean Whitney was there.
What?
Yeah, I know. We're super lucky that we get such great people that are into our stuff. And this was a kind of boring episode, but we got it done. So I really, that's how I felt. So like, I really appreciate you guys if you guys liked it at all, because I was like, I could have done better. But anyway, you know, we're always trying to do better. That's
it.
always the plan. So
Constant, never-ending improvement.
that's right. I mean, you know, what do I always say? We do this for fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like yeah.
I do it for
sure.
the comments, actually.
You know,
Comment section makes me the most excited.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I like I'm more of the live chat and getting to learn the editing stuff, you know. That was my thing.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm excited. Do you want to introduce our guest? You know her
I absolutely
much
am.
more. I can just fucking
It is
ramble
my
on.
pleasure to introduce our guest today. Kim Brady is somebody that I worked with in, I think, 2019 through 2020. Incredible mind for cannabis, great passion for proper use, and like falls very in line with a lot of the things that I try to advocate for too. And somebody who is um, opening up and has opened an outreach and advocacy education platform where she is trying to bridge the gap between what you might learn in a dispensary and what you see online to a real tangible somebody who's experienced it. But I won't say too much more. I will allow her to introduce herself
Awesome.
when she gets on here. But
Yeah.
Kim,
Hello. Thank you so much for
hello.
having me on. I really appreciate it. So
Um, yes, please, if you don't mind,
yeah.
introduce yourself. Let people know your name and where you come from.
So I am Kimberly Brady, and I am the owner operator of Elevated Advice. And right now, I am mostly offering one-on-one consultations, but I also hope to work with physicians as well and train at dispensaries. I did a lot of training in my past, and it's something I really love to do. So I spent 5.5 years working at dispensaries, right? And I have seen some of the most heinous advice given out like around me, right? And because of the corporate model, they very much are trying to just churn people through as quickly as possible, right? You get them in, get them out. Some places you don't even get to talk to a bud tender at all. You just place your online order and pick it up. And I found that there was a real dearth of good information, proper education, and just the time to talk to people. As you may know, Dave, since I started with you at the med dispensary, I will always take that time. Even when I was working in the rec and the line was out the door, I will take the time. If a person comes to me with a medical concern, we're going to get to the bottom of it. You know, I'm not going to turn them out the door. I'm not going to uh, send an old lady with a bar of chocolate and no dosage instructions. You know, um, one time this mom came into the dispensary and she was stressed, right? She had like 3 kids under 3 at home. And she just told the bud tender who was next to me that she just needed something to help her calm down. And he sold her sativa gummies because that was the sales contest that day, right? Whoever sold the most of these particular gummies was going to get a sample from the. So I disagree with all of that sort of behavior. And when I left the dispensaries, I didn't want to get another dispensary job. I've never really been interested in selling cannabis. I'm interested in talking about cannabis. Like, I want to help people find the products that are going to help them feel the way they want to feel, whatever that may be, whether it's a medicinal concern or whether they're just trying to have a good, fun time at a concert, right? Like fun is also medicinal. So I'm just here to try to have a chat with people, figure out what's going to work best for them.
Yeah, when you first started in the dispensaries, did you why did you start in dispensaries? Because you wanted to have those conversations, or you know, go
Yeah.
ahead. I
No worries. So I have been a medical cannabis patient for, I want to say, like 3 or 4 years before I started working in the dispensaries. And I mean, as soon as I knew that being a bud tender was a job that existed, that's the job I wanted to have. Like, um, because I wanted to help educate people, because I just so believe in cannabis as medicine. Like, I really deeply, truly believe that it has saved my life. And I know that's not something that's going to work for everybody, but for the people that it works for, we've got to get it into their hands, right? So I wanted to be a part of that, of the healing part of it all.
I, I, that speaks to me so much. Like once you see, and I know Dave too, because like once you see that it heals, like how can you not just like love everything about it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I know
that's
Dave
awesome.
Dave likes to talk about success stories, right? And I do
Hmm.
too. That's one of my most passionate things. And um, right at the same time that rec became legal in Illinois, they also changed they added opioid addiction as a qualifying condition.
Hmm.
And the people that were coming in, because then they could just get their card like the next day. They had a
Right.
provisional card, right? So
Yep.
they would come in and they were looking real, real bad,
Yeah.
completely emaciated and just no life in their eyes,
Yeah.
sometimes with a cane or a walker, and they would be just dragging themselves up to the counter. We would have a conversation. We would just try some things out. And once we got it zeroed in, what was the right thing,
Hmm.
within 3 months, maybe that same person's coming in and they've got like their cheeks have filled out and there's a glint in their eye and they're not using their walker anymore. And I just was blown away because I saw that over and over again. It wasn't like it was one person, right? And, we had patients with lupus and cancer, and the difference that I saw over and over again, coupled with my own experience, just made me believe in it so much more. And I will never stop, like, educating people about cannabis. It is one of my favorite things to do. And I just like to talk about it. Like I said, I never really wanted to sell weed. I just want to talk about it. It's so
yeah.
interesting and fascinating.
No, and I mean, I think you've touched on it a couple of times, and you've nailed it spot on. Do you, I mean, was there a defining moment in because when we first start, right, in the cannabis industry, everybody comes in and we have all these expectations. Do you remember when your expectations started to shift and when you started to say, you know what, wish I could do this outside of a dispensary and I wish I could be more direct with the people? Was there a moment in that, or was it just a constant evolution, or
Yeah, I would say it was an evolution. Like I said, I would never rush anyone away from my counter, right? Like I would always take the time to talk to the people about it. And um sometimes that would get me in trouble with the bosses. Most of the time, the bosses were pretty cool with it because people would come in just to see me, right? Like there would be people that would pull themselves off to the side of the line and wait there because they knew that I had information for them, and also just some of the feedback that I got from the customers that I had previously helped was super, super motivating. And um, I guess I did start to think about this business before I left the dispensary world. And I talked to some of my coworkers about it, and they were like, yes, do that and then hire me. So I want
Yeah,
to do that too. And I was like, okay. So when I finally did leave the dispensary, it was because I no longer felt safe there. I don't think that they were doing a good job keeping us safe there. But I thought about going to another dispensary, and it just like, ugh, like I almost would rather die than work retail again. I just don't want to do it. So what's the part that I really like, right? It's not, I'm not going to become a black market seller. That's not what was important. What was important is trying to help people find the right thing and have good instructions. Like the fact that dosage instructions are almost non-existent from bud tenders is really kind of appalling to me. And let me just say too, not all bud tenders, right? Like we know that there are some fantastic, incredibly educated, super compassionate, wonderful bud tenders out there. But there's also just like a lot of kids that, or even adults that don't just don't care. They're in it for the money and the samples and maybe some clout, street cred that comes with being that guy. But
there is a definite
people need to care.
disconnect between the people like yourself, and I would try to lump myself into that group, who care to progress this thing as a, and I hate even using the word medicine, though it is medicine, like, then more than just this recreational adult use product for intoxication.
Right.
Though that is a means of, or a reason why people can use it if that's what they feel like, the underlying to that, and I've always said, if you prolong that use, is medicinal use. You're using it for some of the properties that I would say are medicinal:
Yeah.
anxiety relief, depression relief, headache relief, sleep induction, appetite stimulation. There's just so many things that fall into it we don't recognize, but um, you've seen as much as I have. And I promise you, I know it more than anybody. But just so that people who are listening and whatever, do you remember some of the worst advice that you've heard outside of sativa gummies and for relief? Because there's a few of them that just linger in my ears and ring to me all the time, where I'm like, that those are the reasons I can't be inside of a dispensary. Are there misconceptions of cannabis that you just want to overcome so desperately? Are there some core things to you that you're like, if I could change that, I would give my entire time to it?
Yeah. I got to say, I really think the dosage instructions are a real problem. Like, why are they not listed on the box, right? Like, there's so much of that information there. And why don't bartenders just default to telling people, like, start low and go slow, or, you know, don't eat this whole thing at once, 80-year-old lady? Like, that is something that has troubled me the most. And I've seen people sell 50 milligram gummies to somebody who's brand new, right? With no instructions, like, hey, cut that up.
Yeah.
Um, and as far as like, the recreational becoming medicinal, I couldn't agree more. I absolutely, that was one of the most striking things when I moved from the medical dispensary to the recreational only dispensary, is that probably 75% of the people at least were coming in with some kind of medicinal like complaint, right? Like they couldn't sleep, they couldn't eat, they were having anxiety, they had joint pain, like um and beyond that, I really believe that fun is also medicinal, right?
Yeah.
Like the euphoria can pull you up out of some dark places.
Yep. 100%. And I can also back you in saying that I worked at a recreational only dispensary where I feel like it's a scapegoat for the industry to turn it or to just keep progressing the thing into a CPG, a consumer packaged good that just they can do some fancy packaging, kind of blandly tell you what's inside, give the most bland information to the bud tenders or whatever they are, and then they can just run their business. And they're just selling, they're just pushing goods out the front. They don't know what they're pushing. A lot of the higher ups inside companies that I've worked with genuinely don't have an understanding for cannabis, not on a scientific level, not in a mathematical level. They just know that the product that they're selling has 90% THC in it or whatever. They understand how to speak that language, but they don't understand how to speak the real undertones of it and the truths of like why is that thing as beneficial as it is. So I couldn't back you more in what you're saying, and I watched because I think, and this is why I love what you're doing so much. The education that they give to dispensary employees is that damn. What's the system?
Seed Talent.
Seed Talent.
Seed
Yeah.
Talent.
I actually know one of the people that's who used to be a bud tender who is now involved with Seed Talent in writing education for them.
I'm
I know, not even having worked at a dispensary, I know what Seed Talent is. I know that lots of people have complained about it. I personally know this person, and I know that she is probably the right person to try and get it on the right track. So, saying that, what you will,
well, and
you
I'll
know,
even go a step further and say there are some good educational things on Seed Talent,
For sure.
mhm.
but and Kim, you might have because you might have interacted with the program plenty yourself.
Lots.
The courses that the bud tenders at a recreational only dispensary are taking are the ones where if 70% of the staff does the thing, then they'll send some samples into the store for your staff. They're
Mhm.
not taking the highly educational 45-minute, 1 hour long classes that have some good information in it. Still
Well,
have to sift through some of it, but
who's got time for that? These companies are busy processing aphids into distillate. Let's
well,
be honest, okay? Like, who's got time to write educate? Like, I no, honestly, I know people who work for graphics departments or
marketing
for
campaigns.
marketing campaigns
That's
for
literally
cannabis
what
companies,
those
and
classes
so
are.
like they're like,
Most of them
hey,
are, yeah.
can
Yeah.
we get like terpene and like THC? And it's just like pulling hair. It's like everything else. Like, they can't get this info either. Nobody like
The other
you pull
the,
the top off, everybody's gooey on the inside. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, the product just shifts so much and
yeah.
changes so much, even from batch to batch within the same name classes of things that like making a single course
Mhm.
about your product offerings and talking about terpene values and cannabis cannabinoid percentages and whatever doesn't benefit the end the person who should be delivering the information, at least in my understanding of things. And it's more because it's going to be easier for that person to look at it and go, oh, this is a 30% thing all the time, so I should just go out there and tell the person in front of me 30%, instead of saying the main cannabinoids inside this product are THC, smaller amounts of CBD, and then even trace amounts of THCV and things, so that somebody might have a chance of getting into some of the more beneficial things. Where then take it a step further, and THC does, CBD does, THCV does, instead of we got 30% THCV and look at all these people having fun with our gummies and the pictures on the educational thing that you're doing, and like the text is so small. Anyway, I just wish the education was better, and that's why I'm pumped that Kim is doing what she's doing.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Crew was talking about that during their meeting at the last thing. I think Metric is supposed to help with that. There's supposed to be a new patient portal with Metric and education, and I just can't wait to see what sort of information Metric is going to give us about uh, cannabinoids and terpenoids and dosage requirements. It's just really exciting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's super necessary. Also, back to the other question you asked me, what I would change, and the other thing that I would change is like top terpenes on the
Yeah,
label. Some companies are starting to do that, and that's
yeah,
fantastic. But that I mean, since we can't open it and smell it and see if that's the
yeah,
right thing, that's like the next closest thing that we can do.
yeah,
And then though, once those are on there, then they need to really educate the cannabis advisors about
yeah.
what those things do. And maybe if that all happens, we can start moving away from this like straight indica sativa false binary that exists, you
If you
know.
wanted the thing that I would do more than anything if I could fight against, there's two, right? One, I would love to smash the ideas of indica sativa hybrid. I hate it. I think it's the worst way to describe this plant.
Yeah.
The second one, and we won't get into it much, but I would love to break down the stigma of children using cannabis. I think that if you're willing to still give those kids opiates, narcotics, benzos, all of the classes of medicines that exist out in the world, but you're afraid of giving them cannabinoids, there's still a disconnect there that breaks my mind, right? And it is because I've witnessed so many children, and I was fortunate enough to start in 2015, go all the way through 2020 when it was only still medical, and I got to witness tons of um, child use, kids under the age of 18, and I watched the benefits in some of them, and like that's one of the biggest ones. But um, what do you? Because this is another thing too. I mean, we have a lot of seasoned listeners, but if what is the biggest misconceptions you think first time people going into dispensaries, whether medical or recreational, what are the things that those people are what's the misconception? Because I mean, you've seen it a bunch of times, first time patients or customers come in and they have the same level of bright eyed and bushy tailedness that some of us did when we walked into these places. What are the things that they should know walking into the place? And what are some of the questions maybe they should be asking if they're going to go to a dispensary? I recommend they talk to you first before, but
Agreed.
what are some of the big misconceptions where they think they're gonna go in and get educated or whatever? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know for myself, when I was first got my medical card, right? I thought that the doctor was going to tell me what I should get. And they didn't. They said, go and talk to the bud tender. The bud tender will tell you what to get. And I was very lucky because the person that checked me in the first time was super educated. But that's less and less the case, I think, now
Every day.
because of the rec, taking over, and that won't open another they won't open additional medical dispensaries, right? Only
Yep.
adult use from here on out. And I will tell you, when I got hired at that first medical dispensary, the phone call, they offered me the job and then said, learn as much as you can about terpenes because you're not going to get any education or training when you get here. I was like, oh, okay. Well, thankfully for me, because I had been a medical patient, and I'm just like a research nerd, right? And cannabis is my special interest, so I dove deep, and I already had a lot of that information. But um, especially now, a lot of people just think they're going to come in and get like solid medical advice. And number one, we can't offer medical advice. We are not doctors, right? So that's number one thing. Um, and then it's a roll of the dice whether you're going to get somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. And I also think a lot of people who've never been to a dispensary are just really intimidated by the process. I've seen people just come up so timidly to the counter, like, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing, And my question always, the first question is, how do you want to feel? Like, let's start there, and we will find a way. And I think a lot of people also, think everything works for everybody the same,
Bingo.
and it
Yeah.
does not. Right.
Bingo.
So
I love
some things are going to work better for some people. Some, like for me, I am one of those like small percentage of the population for which edibles don't do anything,
Right.
like at all. I could eat a whole pan of brownies and nothing, like nothing will happen. Um, but I've also found some ways around that, right? Like the drinks you guys were just talking about. The drinks do work. Tinctures do work. Any kind of sublingual, like a hard candy or something. Those work a lot better. Um, but I also realized recently that there's also the same kind of disconnect with the doctors. Like the doctors don't know, they, now that any doctor can sign off on a med card, right? And it doesn't have to be like your special licensed cannabis doctors. Like my doctor is fantastic. I absolutely love her. But she thought that she could just sign this card and send somebody to any dispensary and they were going to get what they need, right? Because she just didn't know. Now she does. I said, no, they need to go to a medical dispensary with their medical card, or they're going to be spending all kinds of extra money and really reducing the chance of getting somebody who does have helpful information. So you got to go to a medical dispensary to start. But it would also be great if the doctors could offer some guidance before they went to the dispensary, right? So that's another thing that I would like to do, is to make some, just like, one sheets or some tutorials, short tutorials for doctors, just to give them a sort of a baseline, right? Since I can't give the medical advice, I'll give it to the doctors. They can vet it and then hopefully pass it along, and make people feel a little more confident in that first
Yeah.
dispensary visit.
I personally, and this is where, like, I've always said, allow doctors to do doctor things, right? Doctors learning Western medicine have enough to deal with. The terminology, first of all, if you think cannabinoids and terpenoids are tough words to get down with, wait until you get into the Western medicine side of things.
Sure.
I literally took a medical terminology class one time, and it was a full semester class of just how to break down the words because some of them are so, extensive, and let them do Western medicine things and let cannabis people do cannabis stuff. I think you said one of the greatest things so far is that w- as a educator in cannabis, I'm not giving you any medical advice, right? I'm just drawing correlation to the things. I'm also very anecdotal. Been able
Me
to
too.
witness and listen to literally thousands of people who have had debilitating conditions find reliefs and comforts. And there were the nuances that worked and some that didn't work. And you nailed it pretty perfectly. Some things that work for me won't work for you. And, you know, we have to kind of bridge that gap. And I appreciate you so much for doing what you're doing and getting out and
Thanks.
putting yourself out there in this capacity. And you constantly feel like you're towing some line, but I also think you're obviously bright enough to just break some of those towed lines and just take a leap over it and really help. And I know that you will, and I know that you do, um, because I think even then, because of how the education system goes out publicly and people who are first timers entering, do you see more people coming in? And I think we've kind of mentioned it, but that that are looking more to navigate the intoxication slash recreational side of things, or more people that are going that to hell with the I don't care if I get intoxicated or not, how do I find my wellness? Or is there a kind of a 50-50 in between?
No, I'd say it it's more towards treating conditions. I'd say even the people who do want to get high are doing it with another purpose, right? It's not just like somebody like gets super drunk at a bar every night. It's not like that. Occasionally it is, right? Like occasionally you just get your true stoners in there. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I really think that most of the people are dealing with something else. Um, and they do find comfort and relief, like you say. Um, I would say a lot of the people that I dealt with on the regular in the adult use dispensary just trying to sleep. Like so many people couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And CBN is great for that. But you know what it's not great for? People with PTSD, because it can get you so asleep that you have a night terror, you can't wake yourself up out of it. So I don't personally take CBN, but something with a lot of linalool in it usually does the trick for me.
Well, and then you're going to segue me perfectly into this next question. Let's flip the coin. Forget the first time user, the experienced user. How many experienced users are doing this thing wrong, in your
Oh,
opinion?
I think a lot. I think the age of concentrates has perhaps not been the greatest thing, right? I think that I believe very strongly that you should use the lowest effective dose, right? And instead, people are just popping 100 milligram gummy or doing dabs, and now their tolerance is ruined, and now they can't find a way to get to where they want to be. You
Can't
know,
smoke hash rosin all day if you don't start first thing in the morning.
Well, and I mean, for me personally, if I'm doing dabs, like that's what I'm doing now, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't do a dab and then go out and do the garden like I would rip a bong and do the garden. You know what I mean? Like if I'm doing that, it's because I
I will
find that.
literally stop gardening to come do a dab and then go out and do more gardening.
See, I
So I'm
have
the
to take
exact
it out
opposite.
with me because I find, for me anyway, and this is maybe not the same thing for everybody, but for me, the higher the concentration, the shorter the duration of the
Sure.
effectiveness, right?
Yeah.
So, if I'm smoking flower, I probably could go 2 hours without even thinking about it, feeling great. But if I'm doing dabs, it's like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, better grab another dab. And like, now that's just my whole day.
You know what?
So
Fair point. Fair point.
that's just not for me. That's
Well, and so this is perfect because I'm sitting in between two people who have, I mean, Aaron is a very consistent dab artist, and
Not
okay,
even. I'm a poser. I just have access to hash rosin and
yeah.
e-rig. That's all.
Well, and and this is my whole point, and I think that there is somewhere in between it, right? Because for a lot of us, I do believe when we hit that tolerance level where we have a tolerance, it's much easier to not hit the moments where there's added anxieties, paranoias, whatever,
that too.
because
Yeah.
I just took a full month off and getting back into this thing, I'm literally trying to catch up and grab a tolerance again because I'm tired of feeling that awkwardness when I overuse because my system is so drained of the thing. And I think I'm doing it more because everything that's out there is made for the purpose of THC. 90 plus percent of the products is made for THC percentage. That's what the products in the stores are sold for. And it's not, there are markets, and Aaron will tell you right now, and why he's shaking his head too, because he knows it. When you go to Michigan, you have the capability of smelling something, of putting your face in the product before you purchase it. I- In that, you have there is more of a natural, my body desires that, the brain's smart, your nose is smart, everything that's interacting is for you. It might not work the same for the other person, and that's why you buy the
Absolutely.
one and the other person buys the other. But as far as the CPG goes, as far as consumer packaged goods go, they're trying their hardest to sell THC in mass abundance. It is the thing that makes people come back for more. And if you get to the point where I think I'm what you're saying, Kim, if you use the concentrates or the high dosage or the whatever, and it's vape pens really are the thing for me that like I think are breaking people, right? And it's without fully being
Mhm.
aware of it.
Yep.
I will not deny their effectiveness, right? And I will
For
not
sure.
deny that for like if you're doing hash rosin all day, like Aaron is, it's a very clean, very it is a concentrate still, but when they're doing it, the terpenoid profile is also still extracted, and you're still getting just a potency of the
Mhm.
entirety. Where when
Right.
you've
It's closer to
extracted
the plant. Right.
right
Yeah.
it in a distillation process, when we're talking about carts and whatnot, with flavor additives, and again it's convenience. It doesn't smell like cannabis. You can hide it from the kids a little bit easier because it smells
Mhm.
like bananas or fruits or whatever. um, that level of thing is very easy to buy into, but it is, again, I think it is breaking some of the efficacy of the plant as a whole. And
Definitely.
when I asked how many people are doing it wrong, and I don't mean that, do consume this thing however you feel like you want to, right? That's my whole thing too. And once you have the
100%.
tolerance, go as hard as you want to. I don't really mind. But if you're seeking a direct symptom relief or a direct comfort of sorts, and you said that's your first question to people, how do you want to feel?
Mhm.
If the answer is I want to feel as fucked up as humanly possible,
We got
um,
that.
I'm telling you that also smoking might not be the way. Can it
Yeah.
be potent and can it be whatever? Yes, but smack a fucking stick of RSO or do a big old suppository or something. Not a big one in the sense of like how the size, but I mean 100 milligrams, whatever.
Pence.
Yeah. But as far as intoxication wise goes, it honestly is the most potent methods of ingestion by how we digest and how we absorb. And um, again, I think there are people who, and I witnessed it with direct people who I'm friends with, people who I've sat and played poker with in the past, and that came in, and I said, "Here, this is what you should take home. It's the best shit we have in the world." And the guy said, "No, I need higher THC percentage than that. You don't understand how bad I need it." And then proceeded to buy one of the worst products that we offer. And I was like, "Please don't buy that. I will give you anything. I will give you the shit from the other side. I don't care. I'll make it cost zero. Just don't take that shit home." And he insisted on it. I never saw the man's face again. Well, I think I might have gotten out of there by the time he get, but I just think people are going to do what they want to do sometimes. I think you're missing some of the education, and I think you're
Yeah,
missing some of the
100%.
Aaron, what do you got to say? I know I've
Yeah, I was, that made me think of what we saw this weekend of people ripping two dab pens or two pens at once. And I was just like, this is just insane.
yeah, there was it was 2 gram thing with two a flavor on either side, and they were taking the four thing and just and when they were done, the smoke it was like still lingering out the top of it. I'm not gonna lie, I hit it too,
Yeah,
and it
same.
I
tasted
mean, you
good.
got to try.
I mean, you
I
got to
mean,
try, but it reminded me of that. And I was just like, it's just ridiculous.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
It
mean,
reminds me of people that would like fill their whole mouth with cigarettes and light them all at once, right?
yeah,
yeah.
basically. It was just, just,
Um,
I'm fine.
yeah. But let's what goal wise, Kim, long term, if you had what does real cannabis education and advocacy look like to you in a community set, in just the bigger picture? What is the real education that needs to be out there? What is the real advocacy that we should be pushing for?
Well, I think the bottom line really comes down to that not everything is going to work for everybody in the same way. And so we need to learn as much as we can about the plant and about the conditions we're trying to treat and make some real matches instead of so much trial and error. I mean, I spent hundreds of dollars on the wrong thing when I got my medical card first. And even though it's going to cost money to talk to me, I'm going to save you money in the long run, right? Also, I think it would be so, so helpful for doctors to also understand what, I mean, just even the basics. The endocannabinoid system was not discovered until the 1990s. Do you know how much the doctors learn about the endocannabinoid system in medical school? None, none,
Right.
right? So, um, here's an example. My partner had to have back surgery a couple months ago, and she had been taking high CBD gummies, like 20 to ones, before, when she was in terrible, terrible pain before the surgery started. And when they were sending her home, they wanted to give her like these heavy opioids. And she said, I'd rather not take those heavy opioids. Can I go ahead and keep on taking this, the cannabis that was working for me? And they were like, "Ooh, I don't think so." And we're like, "But it is safe and effective." Right? This is what I'm telling her. And she says, "Well, this is a religious hospital, and we really can't even think about that sort of thing here." And I was like, appalled. Right? You were going to send her home with something totally addictive, something that we know for sure is bad for you in the long run, and tell me that the cannabis is not safe. Like, I was so angry. And so I did my best to educate that nurse, right? That nurse who was in the room talking to me. And I thought to myself, I need to talk to somebody higher up in the hospitals, right? Like, they need to understand that this is a reasonable, legal, safe option for people. Option, right? Not
Mhm.
that it's the only way, but
Yeah.
why are you going to tell me no, you shouldn't do that? That's outrageous. I also had a similar situation with a gastroenterologist that I saw. Right, I have celiac disease, and I thought I was having like a celiac reaction for about 3 months, right, which should not happen. It should take 2 to 5 days tops. Um, and it took me a really long time to get into this gastroenterologist. I went to go see her, and as soon as I told her that I was a medical cannabis patient, she immediately just launched into this tirade, full of blame and shame, telling me that I had cannabis hyperemesis syndrome.
Oh
But
God.
I had not been vomiting at all. That was not the problem. But she was insistent, and eventually told me that she couldn't, without an exam, without any test, told me that she couldn't help me and I should probably see a psychiatrist instead. So this is
Yeah.
the kind of thing that I just really, this is the kind of education that I think needs to be out there. Yes, for the people, yes, individual consultations are my jam for sure. But I would love to get some general information to physicians at large and hospitals, um, because I think that they are scaring people for no reason, and
It's
just
it's
not giving the help they could. You know.
Well, it's definitely a lack of education on that side. And what we don't know, typically we're scared of, and what we
Right.
do know, we think that we know everything, so we can tell you about that.
Yes.
And I I don't like I don't know where the fault is. I'm not trying to point a finger and go, "Oh, you're to blame for anything." But I do believe that Western doctors, people who are of the pharmaceutical mindset,
Mhm.
are so locked in to that side of things, and they just don't necessarily even care to get out of it, right? And
Right.
it scares me as much as anything, to be honest with you, because we know the numbers don't lie. How many people, those people who are advocating for that, are killing a year
Right.
is shocking. The fact that you're willing to continually push and advocate for opiate use over the use of CBD is mind blowing, right? Especially when
Absolutely.
you're saying a 20 to 1, something that has 20 parts CBD to 1 part THC. We're clearly not using this for intoxication purposes.
Right.
We're using it for symptomatic relief,
Mhm.
immune system boosting. There's all kinds of things that are far more medicinal and true than the what an opiate is supposed to do in the how it shuts down your receptors or your pain receptors or your mind to the pain receptors for this um it almost feels like an out of body kind of comfort, right? Where
Right.
that is what people using the bad words, I call them all the time, the bad words of cannabis, like high is just a
Mhm.
disassociation word,
Yeah.
makes the person who doesn't understand.
Stoned.
Yeah, well, yeah, but high is like this, like your body's floating away from itself and you can't control it. And like gravity is our favorite law. So if you don't stay planted on the, like stoned is where people got rocks chucked at them in the Bible for doing something bad and not because of something good. Weed is something we spray killers on and isn't something we should ingest. There's so many bad words that are just associated. And like to say we can get high on cannabis, methamphetamines, opiates, narcotics. Like there is a disconnect between the truth of what that intoxication is because we use the word high interjectably with intoxication, and it's not true. It's just not a blanket statement across the board. Um, but yeah, I wish, and I'm right on the same boat as you, educating these doctors on, and I think you do it simple, right? I don't know that
Exactly.
I think for you and for me and for people who have been around it for long enough, we can associate the conditions that are going on because they become kind of subclasses of the symptoms that are happening, right?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
symptoms say stay true and symptom relief is what I preach all the time. Uh,
100%.
Inflammation, spasticity, headache, neuropathy, nausea, and then anxiety, depression, and all of the headache and sleep, and all of those things are symptoms. They're not
Right.
conditions. The
Exactly.
conditions that carry those symptoms have nuances to them. So, for somebody like a you or I who wants to take that next step past symptom relief and go into, wait a minute, there is a nuance between these conditions that are very kind of similar in certain ways, and they get lumped all together as just stomach conditions or whatever the blanket statements are. um, so I think kind of educating that way is maybe better instead of where in Western medicine they go, okay, well, you have fibromyalgia versus lupus. We'll treat you this way or that way. Where to all of us, we're going, okay, you're dealing with inflammation as a baseline,
Right.
and you're probably dealing with some level of drowsiness or grogginess and some inability to gain the energies that you're looking for the day. And how can we kind of then go, okay, well, the difference between is maybe fibro is maybe dealing less with some of the drowsy grogginess as maybe somebody with a lupus is, right? And it's not that that isn't true in both sides. They both can be dealing with the drowsiness and but if we know that the one just naturally is more deteriorative, okay, well then we would maybe start to go, okay, maybe a little bit more of this terpene over that terpene, right?
Right.
Um, but what do you think, if you could try to project the next 5 years, what does the next 5 years of cannabis outreach and cannabis education, w- what does it look like? What is your goal? How do you hope to be as impactful as you can over the next 5 years? Um,
Yeah, I would love for people to understand what each of the cannabinoids do. Just basically, right? Basically. I would like to have some understanding of the most common terpenes and what they do. Because if you got those two ingredients, like now you're doing what you talk like you would use a little more of this, we use a little more of that, a little less of this. Let's avoid this thing entirely, right? Because it's going to be counterproductive for what you're trying to do. Um, I plan on starting to make some YouTube videos here this week, and TikToks and that sort of Instagram reels, all that sort of thing. That I'm going to call decoding your dispensary, right? Because people go there, they look at the menu, they're overwhelmed. Um, or they have misconceptions, such as the highest THC is the best. That's not correct in almost any case, right? For as far as like a flower goes, that is not the bar, right? Um, so I just want them to understand, what do they mean when they say indica or sativa or hybrid, right? And what is that really? And what are the different methods of consumption that are available? And what are the pros and cons of those different kinds of methods of consumption? And um, again, dosage. I just like hammer that forever, ever dosage. Um, and I think that if people had even just the most basic understanding of these sorts of things, they would find themselves feeling much better. And I would also love to see less fear, especially among the medical establishment. Um,
yeah,
yeah.
I like
And
that.
I would love it if bud tenders all really wanted to educate themselves too, you know? And, you know, you were talking about SeedTalent earlier. And my biggest suggestion for SeedTalent, because I did interact with it constantly, um, but you do it at work, right? Because you get paid to do it, but only if you're there. So you're doing it on the floor, but you can't have any audio, right? And they don't
Yeah,
put subtitles. So
that's
people
huge.
are just going to let that play while they go about their business, and you're going to absorb nothing,
Yep.
right? So just put subtitles. That's such a
That's
small, easy, and
actually
also accessibility, right?
that's great
Like, why
advice.
wouldn't you
Great
just have
advice.
subtitles?
I'm
It's ridiculous.
I'm going to message the person that I know there and suggest that. And I will give you props for sure. I'll be like, hey, we had somebody on our podcast whose name is Kim, but she had the best idea, and I think you should make it happen.
It
Yeah,
is,
it
Because
brother.
seems pretty
that's a
basic.
fantastic idea. Yeah, they got to figure that
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I heard
think-
Because
SeedTalent
sometimes there's
was
great information, but
I heard it was
you'd never
really
get it.
boring though. I heard SeedTalent's boring.
Oh yeah, it's totally. I mean, um, it's like PowerPoint
Okay.
presentations,
Well,
Yes.
basically.
hopefully they're
You
making
know?
it better then. Hopefully they're making it. I've never interacted with it. I've never worked at a
Yeah,
dispensary, so
No,
I don't know.
literally
and
nailed it. It's a PowerPoint presentation with a multi-choice quiz at the end
Gotcha.
right.
that you can fail over and over and over again and just go back and retake it and do it until you get.
So it's a time suck.
Yeah, that's why people
Okay.
just let it play and go. You know,
Yeah.
clean the glass shelf and then
Sure.
come back.
Come back and yeah.
know, because
We got to move the
yeah,
bongs
it's
over
not.
in case they're not closest to the door or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put the $5 grab and goes right in people.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Yeah.
hot dog
Right.
one.
Yeah. Bingo.
The one that looks like an eggplant for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So they can check you out at elevated-advice.com. It also has links
Yeah.
at the bottom here to your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, and your YouTube down here at the bottom. I don't think my, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if anybody wants to follow you and check you out, there's also a contact us with some handy information if you would like to book Kim for her services here.
Yes,
So
I would love to talk to you and figure out how you're going to feel.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Kim, thanks for coming on. It's been a great show, Dave.
Do you have any closing statements, Kim? Is there anything you would like to say or plug or do before we get out of here?
Yeah, just look for the video content that's going to be coming out. And
Mhm.
check all those, click all those links on the bottom of the website. And I really hope to be having some good information coming out to everybody really soon.
Yeah, everybody in the live chat who has a wrench, go over and subscribe to the channel. I'll link it. I'm sure I'll link it in the live chat. But yeah, everybody
Awesome.
go subscribe to the channel, Instagram, and all those other things. Heck yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thanks again for coming.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
We love you all. Smoke weed every day. Peace.
Yo, ding dong, we're done here. Time to go.